I only caught a bit of that.
Hey everybody, I'm Liz here with my friends Anna and Kelly, and we're here interviewing folks from CRC and other groups. There's other Telegram groups we're going to learn about. We have Tanis, Stacy, Ian, and Mike and Ricky. Take it away, guys.
And Clara.
And Clara, yes, of course, but it was initially on the list, right? Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. You're right. I don't know who's presenting. You guys got it.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, hey, I'm going to turn my video off while I'm talking, save bandwidth. And yes, welcome. Yeah, this is CRC, Center of Restoration and Coordinators group. A few folks just want to introduce what they're doing over there and in support of CHWE, Center of Health and Wellness of Earth. If I can go ahead and pull my screen up so we can get right to just kind of doing an overview to see where we're at. There's a lot of transition going on, a lot of new threads and groups, and I'll share my screen and we'll take a look at where we're at.
The blooming process, right, Rick?
Yes, absolutely. We gotta just water and keep the soil clean and
Yeah.
you know, apply those things on this format here. And that's where we're at. We're actually growing, putting pieces together, adding pieces to the puzzle. So just an overview real quick from this communication page. It's a landing page. It's nothing that's going to show up on a search. So this is still in editor mode, creating here, co-creating. This is the CRC, Center of Restoration Coordinators. And we want to know how we can help CHWE, the Center of Health and Wellness of Earth. And you can see the categories listed here, food, water, and agriculture. Just kind of stick in this area right now. And of course, the Center of Restoration Coordinators will also like to provide support for like the Center of Technology and Science and any other groups that are associated with care. And just recently, we got some categories provided to us from CARE. It'll be great for us to kind of get in alignment with CRC, CHWE, and CARE, so everything can work seamlessly. Working groups are out in the community. You've seen them. Some of these folks have already done interviews with CHWE. Some of them are doing work on Telegram and have threads and groups that have been around for a while and projects. And so these working groups are going to need to access documents, worksheets, landing pages that are built and provided by CRC with some guidance and oversight from CHWE, so it can ultimately lead to someone in a local area searching for a problem to their health solution, their food solution, and finding what they need because we went through this process. And so I guess with that, the only thing I want to show is the Telegram thread, just so you can see where the actual work is being done. I'll have to stop share and reshare. Okay, and so this is the Telegram group, Center of Restoration Coordinators, and you can see that it's set up as a group with topics. And this is where we're doing our work here. Pollings, architecture, meeting recordings, the main orientation here. And I think Stacy is going to have us look a little bit at the mind map that's created here to kind of show a flow. And so you can see how documents and everything's created here. The Center of Restoration Coordinators channel is where they post their meetings. You see meetings are continually going on for project proposals, folks who join in and a place for them to plug in. A little history on who CHWE is. Looks like folks have been here for a little bit. About 60% have been here for 3 years or more. And then Ground Coordination Center, it's kind of like a originators group. These guys have had the vision and are in here with the Center of Restoration. It's just another channel. This is more a messaging thread where folks can communicate. And so with that, That's the Telegram channel for filing, working, getting some things done. And you saw the landing page where we need to come together. And so that's what we're doing today. Um, and so if who would like to talk next? I'm through. This is my little presentation or overview as to where we're at, where we're
Hey,
headed.
Mike,
Casey,
do you
okay.
like to chime in a little bit about the mission statement and our goals with ERC? And then I can just tap into a little bit of, and I'll jump into the mind map a little bit more so it's more drill down focus.
Sounds good, Stacy. Your audio is cutting out a little bit, but I was able to catch all of that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So good afternoon or good morning or good evening, everybody. I'm Michael Savard. I'm out here in New Brunswick, Canada. I've been a part of the restoration for a number of years, including at the provincial level, and we have national intentions together that seem to align very well, which has led us into what we now call the CRC, which really is the Center for Restoration Coordination, where we want to really have a good platform and resource set to help connections between different locales and regions into how they can deliver their own effective restoration processes from their own needs within their locale, their region, their country. So we take it, or myself and our group, as the one groups that I'm in Brunswick and Canada, have really taken the intention to apply it from the old aspects of restoration when this started out a few years ago, to bring those needs assessments, those analysis, and those data queries into something that's a little bit more viable to be spread out for all. And I think that we can all have a common vision of the CRC as being that unique hub or platform to allow some very large collaborations, even up to the global level, to ensure that there is alignment with the restoration plan globally, which of course we are all supportive of CARE, the Center of Amity and Restoration of Earth. So the intention there at the national level was to help the regions, the provinces, and the cities align to a national process that could then be taken up at that early opportunity a number of years ago to the CARE platform that is present now. Since there's been a few changes in the last couple of years with the restoration plan, CARE, and its founders and deliverers, we've been able to keep fairly agile within our inputs and our focus points. And I created a little bit of a mind map too that I don't have available to share here, but I've shared in previous calls, where I really do think that the CRC can be a nice liaison of data, resources, information, best practices that can be accessed through all globally and still apply that unique aspect of what's special in your community, in your region, in your state or your province. And some of it might be based on local cultures, on different aspects of processes where those where our ethics are built from, where our principles are built from, right from the ground level. So trying to keep everything very fluid, flexible, yet on point with delivering guidelines and principles within CARE has sometimes been a challenge, but we really see that there's so many great inputs out there. How can we create an opportunity for a collective and collaborative hub for everybody, regardless of the region they're in the world? How can they use that as a benefit to help deliver their own specific restoration plan, whether it's someone as an individual or a family or a community, a neighborhood, a city, a town, a county, a province, a state, or a country, or an overall region set of countries, and in the end, collaborate with the entire globe and all of us wonderful people inside of it. So where I find, and I think a lot of us have this commonality, where I find a lot of excellent aspects and deliverables come from the grassroots. They come from the self. They come from the individual. Whether we're an entrepreneur, whether we're just a simple worker, doing the best we can, getting through life and doing what we do, or whether we're an executive member, whether we're a senior manager, a middle manager, everybody has that own self. And if we align restoration to self, including our own self-care and our own self-intentions, that will help ripple out to others, as we all know. And when we can start apply that to our own needs for our community, and that comes right from the personal needs too. Where do you get your food? Is your water good? What type of level of standard of living do you have available in your communities or in your region? Can there be anything that can be improved upon? So in taking an aspect from earlier versions of the restoration plan, which is still alive and well, it had a lot of focus points onto different departments, such as health and wellness, which would lead into food security, would also lead into, items such as in healthcare, such as in allopathic healthcare, holistic healthcare, natural healthcare, and how to create a commonality, at least for resources and exploration for all those people that need that service provided, and how can they access it a little bit more efficiently. So it's not an exhaustive list. It's going to continue to grow. And I think that's the intention of having this being a growth platform or a living platform, so it can consistently evolve and provide the best results and tangibles for those that need those tangibles. So we could take a look at the world as it is, and we could say, well, there's a column of corporations and uh, and large conglomerate companies that lead aspects into different societies or the world. And we can also say there's a column of governance where we might see local or national governments in place that help lead those similar aspects into societies. However, each one of those two columns contains people like us, whether they're in an entry-level position or the highest senior management position or on a board of directors. That's where the self-care really does chime in, because that's where we're all born into, and that's all we'd like to exercise our benefits in the work that we do. So as we can get from those grassroots up into those different pillars of society through those different sectors, and the restoration plan has talked about different aspects of where the folks that seem to do a little bit of harm more than good, there's 5 pillars that are mentioned that usually have an aspect of control to various downstream industries, and those pillars were introduced as the political sector, the military sector, the intelligence sector, the finance sector, and the media sector. Now, if we take a look at each of those sectors, they're very, very tightly controlled at a very large level, but who are they controlled by? They are controlled by individuals acting in collaboration with coordination towards a certain objective. Where I see the CRC having some excellent value is providing some guidance and principles towards causing no harm, towards providing abundance, towards leading back into that self-care and having that self-care ripple out through communities. So the CRC has taken a step ahead in that direction. Like Rick has said, he's got a landing page there, which is a nice example of what we can do at a local or a regional level to help introduce people to that platform, because they're going to have needs that might be specific to one item or another, or all. And they may want to only have an aspect to deliver something that's going to represent a need for their family or their self, or maybe for an entrepreneurship adventure, maybe for a large project. Maybe they've got an idea where they can improve something for their whole country or the whole world. So the idea, I think, is really to create this common platform. And I kind of see it as a pool of experience, of knowledge that can be shared. So, if you've got a project to share, we encourage you to share it, but it's your project. We're not looking to take it over. We're only looking to enhance others that are looking on similar projects and to stop us from reinventing the wheel 8 billion times as we try to develop new intentions and better delivery with better efficiency. So there are subgroups within the CRC, and they start off on a fairly high level. Like they might go into health and wellness, so they might go into food security, they might go into transportation, they might go into media. And then there's further subgroups that'll help expand and allow focus points to different intentions from all of those components. So having an overall vision for what the CRC is and how it can connect both to the grassroots as well to care and the restoration plan is so very important, because then those locales can really draw it into what they need specifically and apply those principles and guidelines to ensure that they are delivering restoration to the best of their effect. So that's going to lead me just to ask Stacy if she'd like to maybe share with her mind map, which is an example of how we can take some considerations, some challenges, some opportunities, and allow that collaborative session to start to be considered from region to region, or from section to section, or from sector to sector. Good timing. Here comes the shared screen. All right. How's your sound there, Stacy? Did you want to chime in and give a couple of pointers to get us started here?
Yeah, I just want to zero it down just a little bit more into nuts and bolts, because that's that's the world I function in, is putting the nuts and bolts together. So this has been a work in progress over a couple nights worth of downloads. And of course, it's just gathering data that already exists and then pulling together our threads that are currently on Telegram and expanding upon what their function is. The fact that needed
Stacy, you are breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Or everything else that is going on.
Stacy, Stacy, we didn't hear that. I'm sorry. You might want to repeat the last 30 seconds, or you're kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah, it cut out altogether for me. I didn't know if that was everyone else.
Well, it's typical for me. They really don't like to hear me talk.
You want to
So-
try again, or have
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
yes.
So CRC is basically admin operations, and we tie the nuts and bolts together. And Rick, would you mind zooming out first, just for the 40-foot thousand view, so that you can see it in its actual formation and creation and not so much in detail at the moment? Because you'll see it flowing like a flower, a clusters of flowers in a bouquet. Yeah. Out? No, in. Sorry. So it looks just
Right.
like,
That's as far as I can zoom in. Let me grab another.
no,
Zoom
out.
out. You want to
Zoom out.
so you see the whole thing. You see the
Yeah.
whole picture.
It's as far as it'll let me go. Let me
Oh.
pull it up on a different. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll get it, Stacy.
Okay, so literally the way that this came into being is that every aspect of these coordinator subject matter areas have their own cluster of work and tasks to be done. And this morning it was really great because I got feedback from Thomas that yes, this is exactly where we're tracking what needs to be done. And so where we're hoping that we can blend between CHWE, there you go. So can you see that on a more of a cluster? So on the right-hand side would be everything in Kim's hands and Kim's department right now. Anything over from care to the left is our world that we're creating right now. So eventually, you're up here in the top, you have a beautiful cluster forming that hopefully will be able to continue moving into the nuts and bolts of what you guys need for us to support you. We've got another center forming. We've got all these other centers forming around care like a flower. And we've really drilled down over the last little while of what every task is going to be in every sort of coordinator subject matter area. And then hopefully everyone's going to jump on board and pick up their relative tasks and bring that all together. Up in the left-hand side, this big cluster over here is everything related to needs assessments in the process in the campaign. Many needs assessment forms are already made. There's a few more yet to go. So as we, get our recruitment and people on board where they want to sit, then I see that that's going to be done very quickly. We've got IT moving into that world too to manage those campaigns. We're looking into drives to set this all up securely with Zolt. And on the end, you're going to see this pink. These two little pink signs are basically we can meet our goals in one of two fashions. One, we can meet immediate goals for whatever we have on hand for solutions, but then it goes into longer term iterative solutions. And that's our long-term legacy viewpoint out of our needs assessment. So within the needs assessment circular, just in that loop alone, there's a lot of things that need to be planned out. Your supply chain, your labor chain, all of that business needs to come into play. Clara's been wonderful in taking on the, like, see, you can see all of the facets required in this process of delivering these needs assessments. It can't be just, we're going to slap it out to the public and hope that we're going to get some feedback and some good statistical results. No, that's not the way we want to do this. We want to have actual, participatory transparency. Even within our own group, we utilize polling a lot so that there's a consensus-driven movement forward. Administration is administration. We do the basics. We get the schedules. We do the worksheets. We build the contacts. Then we've got a team that's just, do you want to stop at the project development coordinators there? And I'll highlight what's going on in that department right now, Rick. So we've had a wonderful gentleman come on board. He's an accountant, auditor, and he's currently working on a presentation series to help people who may not be savvy with putting together projects. So what he's doing is explainer videos with templates to match so that there's a workflow process. There'll be ticketing, so on and so forth for people for their projects so that if they need to save it, come back to it, they can do that. If they need coaches in the process, they can reach out to a coach and we can do that based on subject matter experts, which are coming aboard rapidly, which is wonderful. And so that is actively forming out. And I would say in 2 weeks, we'll have a nice end product that we can bring back and help anyone, even in CHWE, that wants to start their own project. You have a lot of professionals that are in healthcare practitioners, but they may not, have been able to do a clinic from scratch, but that's their idea. That's where we can help. Yeah, if you want to just keep going down to the lower section there, Rick, to that next flower cluster. Operations. So there's going to be a rapidly developing structure for cooperatives. And I know Kim's mentioned this many, many times. So we have to think about how our old economy can be transitioned into a cooperative economy. And the way that I approach my viewpoint, and Thomas was on one of the whiteboarding calls where I floated this, is that we look at it as a multi-stakeholder cooperative that we're building globally. And that helps us bypass a lot of the government impediments that we've had, because why would we need that when we're all working cooperatively? So let's take it to the next level. Let's build brick and mortar structures. If you want to stop there, Rick, just scroll down one more there into the centers. And this is where I think that we need to collaborate really deeply with these community hubs and these centers, because ultimately health and wellness is going to form the core of these centers. We're striving for living, breathing, healing centers so that as soon as you walk in that facility, either a center or a hub, you feel the immediate healing benefits of what that facility provides, not only in created and designed, but what's within it. So we have a huge push and a lot of inspired people right now that are bringing forward some very futuristic designs and technologies that are going to help drive these centers. And it'd be really great if CHWE could help us with these designs right now and blowing out all of the elements that would be necessary. Do you want to just scroll down a little bit farther, Rick? And then I think I'm going to cap it. Oh yeah, Sasha's got us her section here. She's taken the lead on the work, life, and family coordinators and idea developing the dream of abundance for families and balancing that out with work. And you may have seen some of Sasha's presentations. There's still some works in process, but it's great. We've got somebody captaining that. And if you want to scroll down just a little bit more, Rick, I'll see if I've got everything else, and then I'll yield. Okay. Yeah. So science and technology coordinator foresee makes for developing the centers for science and technology. There's a lot of centers I'm sure are yet to come, and I don't want to speak for them, but we're ready to help coordinate and facilitate a liaison relationship between science and technology and skills and trades training for grassroots. That's a really important chain of activities I think is yet to come. So with that I yield, and I'm just going to leave it to you now. And if you've got some questions and some ideas, let's keep it rolling.
Well, I want to know, do we have other
Hey,
speakers
Mike.
who'd like to speak? Tanis or
Yeah.
anybody else would like to speak? Michael, you want to speak? Want to say something? I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Stacy. Nice walkthrough on a very, very large, detailed mind map. Great way to give an opportunity for just getting your feet underneath you. I've got an example of one of the group activities we took part in the last couple of weeks, and that was, trying to determine the CRC mission, values, and intentions. So as we go through, before we finish off today, I'd like to share that example with the collaborative building, and it might help make some connections. And before I get to you there, Tanis, I'd just like to, maybe paint a bit of a picture in a large summary for the CRC and how it fits in. Is the CRC is very, very vast, and that's where it comes from. It comes from everybody. It comes from self. It comes from the identification of needs and changes to be challenged and succeeded through. But it also connects to. So the CRC really has two aspects. We've got a draw up from the grassroots, and it connects to, and that connects to is the restoration plan and care. Now, a CRC is an all vast encompassment and is willing and able to take on any sort of aspect from any industry and any sector and any pillar. It does not take away the excellent, excellent work that CHWE has been making in recent days, weeks, months, and right back to the inception of this restoration plan. So essentially, when we're looking at other groups, and correct me if I'm wrong with others from the CRC, but the CHWE is an entity within itself. You have your own objectives, your own vision, your own inspiration to meet the restoration plan as it relates to the health and wellness of Earth. But it is also a component of the generalized large hub of what the CRC would be as the Center for Restoration Coordination. As coordination and implementation needs to be realized, if there's assistance required from any subgroup, group, or pillar, they can also attach into the CRC for those best practices, for guidance, for principle sharing, and to ensure that it fits well for their own locale, for their needs specifically. Because even the folks in CHWE, I've seen a few of those meetings, and it can get very broad. And it's beautiful, but there's also a need to get right down into the grassroots, right down into the weeds, right down to the individual person. And that's where I think that we can really create that opportunity for a bit of a lotus flower of the CRC, where it can really blossom with many petals for each industry, sector, or individual to draw best practice from, to deliver to some specific needs they're experiencing without having a control structure or a hierarchy implemented to withhold or to halt that increased efficiency. So with that, I'll yield. I think Tanis has some things she wants to bring in. Come on in,
Tanis,
Tanis.
you want to come on next? Tanis, you want to come on next? Yeah.
Sure. Actually, it's not really about me. It's it's actually about what Mike and Ian has been doing for the last year, because they hold these large events. And I'm just wondering if Ian would be okay with speaking a little bit about the the basically like the health and wellness aspect, because they not only talk about broader and like the things that Mike has already kind of explained earlier, but these two men are very highly spiritual and connected individuals, and they I would really love it if Ian would even just talk a little bit about what they share at these large events that they have, and how that kind of incorporates into like in the CHWE field.
Ian, are you wanting to come on? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the meet and greets, and Mike is the speaker. He's the one with the eloquence, and we bring practitioners together. Pam, who is our osteopath, who's on the team, and has contributed a great deal. And during the meet and greets, we bring in all the practitioners in the area, the alternative healers, and whatever talent you have, to be there to educate and introduce their talents to the community. On average, Mike, how many people were at the last one that you did? I wasn't there, but yeah.
We had about 200 on the last one, which is a little bit of a lighter arrival. We did have over 35 practitioners, and really the shout out goes to Pam in our group. She joined our provincial group just
Yeah.
over a year ago, and was able to bring in some of the aspects that she'd been working on, which really did align with restoration already. She'd been working on health and wellness hubs with practitioners and professionals that were no longer working within that system because of the changes since 2020 and were unable to work. So before she even met us, she had these health and wellness hubs set up. There's a few set up in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. There's a few set up across Canada, as far west as BC. And they're very collaborative, but they're very quietly spoken, because these are folks that have been, for lack of a better word, ostracized from their industry and been forced to work outside of that for their viability. So when we met Pam, she brought in the introduction of a few other groups, which was mainly health and practitioner, focused on holistic healing. We have reflexologists, people that focus in Reiki and yoga and meditation, access bars, so much. Like, I couldn't even begin to list everything. But really, their health and wellness is and their expertise is being shared on an open platform, so that folks that don't have any experience with it can really ask some questions and get to talk to them, experience some of the things they sell, talk about some of the products. And we've usually seen anywhere between 200 and 400 people, and we hold these about every 6 weeks.
Yep.
Back to you, Ian.
And we get the word out, and the people who really key into what we're doing with restoration, then become more and more part of our group, and share it with more people. Then we have our potlucks, of course, right? And the potlucks have been really a good thing. I started it that way when I first was involved with the assemblies. I put it together where people could come and my house and eat something, and it brought people together. And we found that the potlucks really make a big difference, and the interaction with everybody there is more personal, because what's going on and what's happening is more than what we're doing. It's a feeling, right? It's a resonance that we carry that's part of the restoration. And that is where we make the contact with people. But yeah, it's been very successful. It's a good model, I think, for others to follow.
We've also taken the opportunity to introduce the restoration plan. So the first couple of meet and greets we had, we were new to the group. We were guest speakers, and we still are consistently. There's another one coming up in April that we're going to be attending, and we expect a bigger turnout there. But Ian was really brilliant with how we started out, because it was of a large audience. We didn't really know where they were on the scale of restoration or awareness of what's going on in the world or has gone on in the world. So we started off with, who here knows about the restoration plan? And of course, we had some folks in the audience who were part of our groups, and they put their hands up, and there was a lot of quizzical faces. So we started to talk about, what is the restoration plan? Where does this fit into the world? How can we see this fitting into our world, in our backyard, in our families? And of course, it's going to lead us into taking that into our workplace, whether it be, corporate, private or public, or even through a government standing. And we do have a lot of members. We have members that are ex-veterans. We have some that are ex-police force or ex-national police force. We have some that are current government workers. We have some that are ex-civil workers. We have some folks that are very, very well skilled in their profession, some with very high designates on what they're bringing into the aspect. But we try to introduce care, the restoration plan, and an opportunity to collaborate, which of course leads us into meetings like this and the CRC and our RPC group. And with that, I'll yield, I think, Claire. Okay, go ahead, Ian.
Clara,
Sorry.
Clara, do you want to come off mute, Clara?
Yes, so what I wanted to say was with all the information that we have, we're dealing now with CARE, with CHWE, with CRC. We're bringing that all together, right? So we're bringing it together in many different forms, in media, in outreach, and now also with our hubs and centers that we are coordinating. So with that center, bringing it down into the ground roots, so to speak, of where people are at and communicating with each one of those people. These centers and these hubs are very important because what it's going to provide is a source of information for everything that we have discussed, for you and for us. So we bring this center, which we are hoping with the collaboration of all the people that are coming together, is that we actually are sitting back and we're going, okay, in this center, you've got information to what's happening with the restoration, information that what Kim is talking about, information of what CARE can do, the assurance plan, what is happening. So they're getting information there, but they're also getting a place where they can gather. Right. So having a hub where music is played in beautiful forms, reading books of information, having a place where they can just meditate and just chill out. Right. So we're creating this environment, this living, breathing atmosphere that the walls of this building will have, the people that will have, it all vibrates in a wonderful form, and it will bring these people in and give them what they need. And it's individual. So we're talking about if you're growing something, we would have food that is grown right there on that area so that they can cook it right there, right? They might have bees in a section where they can gather honey and bring it inside. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do, and it's specific to that area. So we're not saying it has to be one way or no way. It's specifically for what that land or those peoples would need for them, because we're not changing them, we're just helping them explore what they could have. So in each individual hub or center, we are getting down and dirty, so to speak, to make sure that we have everything covered. We're doing our SOPs, we're doing our mission statements, we're gathering information with all of the polls and need assessments that we're doing. So we're taking everything into account to make sure that we're covering all of our balance, everything in its form, so that we are doing this correctly. And here I yield.
Stacy, you want to come back on?
Yeah, thank you, Clara. That's a great detailed description. I just wanted to tap in a little bit more of an outside consideration right now. Is that given the way that the world is basically a pressure cooker situation, there's so many trigger points that we can tap into to give people a reason to join us with the restoration movement. So I personally know that I'm in queue to speak to some large groups as well that are looking for solutions. And it's always been in the back of my mind that before I even do that reach out, I want to have my ducks in a row, because these are people that are very vulnerable, and they've been led in so many different ways, lied to, deceived, and they're all just starting to figure it out. And they're not really aware that there are solutions over here that we can provide them. So with building that mind map, it helps me, do a lot of one-on-one speaking with some of the spokespeople of these groups. And I think we're going to need to develop a program where, we reach out to unions, where we're reaching out to other associations, first of all, on a one-on-one basis, and then trying to spread the word maybe with greater audiences. Because our unions are our blue collar guys that are living these regular lives and these regular jobs, and they're just sort of in that hamster wheel of continuity, not understanding that over here there's some solutions for you. And so, for me, I think, given that we all know we've been at this for a long time, I've been at it for 4 or 5 years. I know that Mike and Ian have been at it for quite a long time too. We all know sort of internally what needs to be done. But the sovereign movements now, there's pressure cookers in there. And now's the time to start recruiting some of those key leaders and bringing them into what we're doing. And hopefully that's going to help bloom some more energy for what we're doing. With that, I yield. Go for it, Ian, because I know you're going to add on to that.
Ian, you want to come on?
Yeah. One of the things I'm in Washington, D.C. now. I used to live here, this area. And a good friend of mine has started what's called the Foreign Policy Group in the 60s, actually. And they meet about once a month. And these are people who are in strategic positions, government-wise and also society-wise. They have a lot of influence. And they have no solutions at all. They've hit a standstill. They have speakers come in from different sections of the government involved in immigration or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. But the last meeting they had, they see no solution to anything, right? So it's a strategic group that I have contact with that can have a big impact on this, sector of what's going on in the States exactly, but also they're connected to a lot of NGOs. They're connected to a lot of nonprofit charities, that type of thing. My good friend here, Terry, is involved with a group where they're working with the homeless, and they're providing a lot of services, from food to dentistry to you name it. And they're in these strategic locations, and so that's what I'm working on my end of it.
Thank you. Ricky, you want to come back on?
Yes, and thank you, Ian. I just wanted to support your thoughts. I've seen on the Center of Restoration threads that folks are putting together these same documents and worksheets for folks that might consider themselves operatives or contractors, folks that are qualified to go into these situations to provide emergency relief. They're qualified, they have the technology, the education, the groups around them, they've been around for a long time. And so, yeah, there is a pocket in the CRC that is just focused on that. We realize that operators, contractors, folks are going to need to find a place to work and do this work for us, because we're not qualified. We're maybe qualified to set it up and established everything, the structure, but these are the guys on the ground to do the work. And there is a lot of relief that needs to take place right now with things that are happening in the storms and displacements, especially like places like Haiti, Dominican Republic. There's going to be a void in the supported NGOs and the structures that were set up in the past, as they're not being able to receive funds, and as things play out on the ground, that void, I believe, can be filled by CRC offering their services to folks, like operators and contractors. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, the main thing I see is we need representatives that can, be a voice and understand how to talk to these people in these positions.
Yeah, Ian, we're not hearing you very well right now, unfortunately.
That might be why I'm cutting in and out.
Yeah.
What did you hear? Yeah, basically, we the dilemma is finding enough people who are aware enough and and informed enough and understand the restoration plan and what is going on to be able to talk to the people who are in these strategic positions who you don't scare off by giving too much information or information that isn't really pertinent to what they need at that time. Like, we need to have a way to reach them, talk to them, and engage them without them feeling alienated.
Yeah, understood. So we're going to let Michael speak, but then I'm going to invite my colleagues Anna and Kelly to see if they have any comments or thoughts or questions. So go ahead, Michael, come on.
All right, and I'll keep it nice and short the best I can. Just want to touch on to the idea of the hubs for health and wellness is as we've heard some chats about them. Claire, you mentioned them being very high energy places. Ian and I and our group have been working on a health and wellness hub for the province of New Brunswick for a couple of years. And that was really where our intentions have landed us into creating that center, which is really be multiple facilities onto a set of grounds, usually a few hundred acres, where we can focus on everything from health and wellness to agriculture, to education, to science and discovery, new innovations. And the intention went from having a specific structure to creating those as energy providing centers where you walk in and you can feel that energy, that environment, and you really start your healing just by being there. So there's also aspects that we've talked about also lead into what Kim and her group is working on with the marketplace. Because she's mentioned, if we want to go out there in the world, how can we let go of those items that cause harm that we don't want? Since one of our recent updates, she mentioned if you're going to go hiking in the woods, are you wearing your Nikes? Are you wearing your Healy Hansons? How can we create those? Because as we purchase them, we only keep that institution running. So that's where I think marketplace and the restoration plan and needs assessments come into play, because now we can be controlling of what is created. And I love the fact that, the CRC is focused on marketing and advertising campaigns as well, too, because every single person is a person. They have their own energy resonance. They understand where their right and wrong hits. And when the truth hits their soul, it rings through them. And they can answer more and more questions and see clarity. And that's really where I think the best advantage is, with all these small groups leading into their own aspirations and exposing the opportunities for new discovery, new exploration, will allow those individuals will take it up into their workplace. So we even have folks that are very high level within their own organization, industry, or sector, and they're now bringing in some aspirations of the restoration plan. If nothing else, then it's the intention within their energy that's spreading out when they walk within the room of their board or within their office or within their staff. So that's where I think it's going to be very, very uniquely opportunistic for all of us that are working towards a restoration plan to have that common push out through all. And it's really using the grassroots, using the he said, she said. If we tell one person and they tell two people and they tell two people, just like the old commercial from the 70s, before you know it, you've got a screen full of hundreds of people that now are asking a very similar question. So I think that alignment really does resonate with how we can really collaborate, reunify together, and remove the labels and some of the extrapolations that have caused us to be separated from each other human. And with that, I'll yield. Thank you very much, folks.
Well, thank you, everyone. I want to invite Anna or Kelly if you want to come on and make some comments.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am so sorry to everybody. I've heard about 50% of what's been said. My internet's been horrendous. I really couldn't. I'm going to have to watch the recording just to hear it all, so I don't really have anything to say because I don't know what's been going on. I've been trying to follow. I'm so sorry. It's the first time my internet's ever done this. So maybe Kelly wants to speak, but thank you for coming on.
Yeah, great body of work. Kelly?
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yes, heard that. Yeah. I'm here to listen and learn, and I've learned a lot today, so I'm taking it all in. I'm sure I'll listen to this again very soon, and I look forward to seeing where everything goes. I just soaking it all in right now. So thank you for all participating. Appreciate your work.
Yeah, exactly. I am too, soaking it all in, because I knew it's such a huge, great body of work, and we wanted to let you come on and have a voice, especially after Ricky reached out. The only thought I'm having, I have to, like the other two said, I have to review this body of work. And we're going to post the mind map, and I'd like to post your Telegram links below the recordings when we post these recordings and such. I just ask, I don't need this answered right now, but how attached are all of you to all of this planning? Because it does seem to me, to some of us, so far out ahead. And it's, on the one hand, it's great to have the platforms right there and ready. But also patience is a virtue. So where's the balance? Like, if it ends up being entirely different from all y'all have created, are you okay with that? I've heard Michael mention earlier about flexing and having the agility to change. So I just want to be sure people are
I can
able to.
chime in on that too.
Okay, in a minute, Stacey. Yeah, so that's all I'll say. And I was going to give, let's see, Michael, who raised your hand first? Can you guys each talk for a minute, Stacey and Michael? 1 minute.
Mike, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead,
was just
Michael.
saying you go ahead, but we're just being too polite. I'll make it really quick.
Sure, sure.
We may have very specific tangibles and processes delivered, but that is a starting point. And that may work. Like, there's a lot of us that are working from the Canadian perspective, and we may be thinking about what might work in Canada and its province and our community. But I think, and I don't want to speak on behalf of all CRC members, but I think the intention is to create a starting point and to use that as a guiding principle and a guiding set of intentions for them to really drill down that what's their data, because I could analyze New Brunswick and it's going to be different from Nova Scotia or BC or Texas or England or the Netherlands or South Africa, and even within those countries and regions it's going to be specific to the community. So I think we're creating an example where it's going to really solidify the core principles of CARE, CHWE, and the CRC and whatever other groups are on the downstream, and allow the autonomy of that individual, of that locale, to really address it and build it with their own needs. So they might see an SOP and it might deliver them for the first 2 steps, but maybe steps 3 till 10 are completely delivered from their own locale with their own intentions, with their own specifics that might not be relevant for anyone else. So we're just trying to create, a bit of a pathway with a light on it so they can see where they're going. And
I would hate to see the big yank happen and then everyone's upset, kind of like the assemblies. Go ahead, Michael. Yeah.
So for my
I'm looking
input,
out. I just don't want everyone to be hurt and angry. Go ahead, Michael. Yeah.
that's the intention, is to put our experience into a pool. And I was calling it knowledge before a few updates ago, because
and then Stacey, yeah.
knowledge is really only given from someone else, but wisdom is ascertained from previous knowledge, experience, and solutions. So I think the CRC and CHWE, as a part of it, creates that pool of opportunity for resources, and they can draw in their own specifics from it.
Great. Thank you. And my apologies, Stacey. Yeah. Final words.
So we've gone through the multiple iterations over the years, assemblies to what it started off with. I've been here since the beginning and I've seen it all. So very flexible, willing to flow with the times. But what I can assure you is that both Kim and Thomas have seen the mind map. They have given us some golden feedback, especially this morning. Thomas said, totally on the right track. Keep going. So it's not inflexible. What it's encouraging is the complements that make this structure bulletproof. So we're building a massive global franchise model. And then that franchise model has the ability to break off and be individuated based on community needs. So we're meeting it from the top to the bottom, all in one shot. And you'll see nothing in that map other than adopting natural law, looking at more grassroots governance. We're not doing anything that's going to empower or shift power or create silos. Our goal is to make that whole mechanical process seamless so that you guys do what you do best as practitioners, you heal the world. We do what we do best as facilitators. We bring you the people to heal. We bring the projects. We're not going to be stepping on anyone's toes. Health and wellness, it has its own beauty all unto itself. And I tell you, there's nothing that's been driving me more in this process, given my skills, backgrounds, and talents, to get to the point where I can meet in the middle with health and wellness and an essential card so I can get my teeth fixed, my hip fixed, my back fixed. Because that has been driving me for 5 years is pain. And I want to meet you guys on the other end and do what I need to help you so that you can do what you can do to help me. Does that make sense? That's just me on a small individual level. But I imagine it goes worldwide for many, many people.
It does make sense. Actually, that's the first thing I've heard in full since this started. I did want to say that it is great for we have seen so many people come onto Zoom now over the past few weeks with such amazing ideas and projects and plans. And it's always good to hear from everybody else and to see what they're doing and what they're thinking and how they want to do it, because everybody can learn from everyone, as that's how we learn. And I'm just very grateful for everyone's input, because, well, eventually, when everyone does eventually get to the point where we can ask for funding or to be ratified or things like this, then everyone can be working off the same page because everyone's been heard and put their projects forward. And so I'm really sorry I didn't hear most of it, but I presume it was good. I'm going to watch it again to fully understand it. But yes,
So Liz,
it's very good to hear from other people and learn from other people as well.
So Kelly, first, Kelly, do you have any comments, any thoughts first, Kelly?
No, I'm, like I said, here to listen and learn.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Rico.
Well, that's the hour. We so appreciate all of you joining us.
Liz, I do have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Uh-oh, no sound?
Oh, did she cut off, or is that me?
No,
No,
we
no, she
can't.
cut off. And I will say too, while we're waiting for Stacy, is that you understand that Kelly and Anna and I are not in any way gatekeepers.
There goes my.
Yes, Stacy, what was your question?
There she is.
Yeah.
Oh
Stacey
no,
Stacey left. Oh well.
she's gone
Oh.
again. Do you want to perhaps type it in the chat so we can quickly see it?
That's a good idea.
Oh, there she is.
She back?
Yeah,
Back.
we must be really warning you guys all the trouble we've had on this call. Anyway, Liz,
There we go again.
Type in the chat. Type it in the chat.
have you
Yeah, I want to share the chat.
had any thoughts about building? Okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh,
cutting
I'm
out.
sorry, Stacey. We're hearing very little of what you're saying.
Put it in the
Could you type
chat.
it in the chat at all? I don't think Liz caught what you said.
I did not. I'm
And,
going to.
and if it can be typed in the chat, can we share that online as well? Is there an option? I mean, not online, but within the recording.
Yes, we will. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Can you
Have
read
you-
that, Liz?
Have you thought about building out budgets for funding by Kim Global? We have not, because we're not gatekeepers, okay? We're admins on this chat and at the website. And so we're supporting in
But
this way. It's basically a channel that we post information. So no, we
I
don't have
do think
anything
it's.
about it. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Go ahead, Anna. Go
I do
ahead.
think it's important to remember, though, there is many things going on behind the scenes. They're very,
Yes.
very busy all the time. Practically have no breaks at all, but they do have many things in the workings, and they've been planning, and they've got a whole schedule and strategy and plans. And so there's so many things that they haven't come out with yet that we know that they're working on. So hopefully that's something they've already looked into and working
I
out.
know
So
Kelly can come on and say something about it. I know, Kelly, I see your brain working.
Just soaking it in again. I don't know.
Oh, no. Oh, about the question. Have you thought about building out budgets for funding by Kim and Global Repository? So yes, so I will just say while Kelly's thinking, I do know that Kim, whenever you guys have heard all the news reports too, it's about on us to come up with our own budget proposals and our own plans. Yeah, so it's up to us to come up with them. So I just invite individuals in their sovereignty to come up with what budget you need to start that buying that $11 million building to do the thing and do the thing or do the thing. I work home from Zoom, so I need less. But build out your own budgets. Kelly,
Those
what's
are the things that I've been personally working on. Yeah, I've got 3 different proposals going on for different communities. So yeah, that's just something that I think everybody needs to consider within it all, is to be ready for that, be ready for the funding, you know, get your business plan together. That's just, you know, that's where my head's at right now. And that's what I'm focused on.
I think
right?
it's
I
important.
know that, sorry, Michael, I know that people are from Page and on higher have been asking and interested in projects and the documents to start an individual project from individuals or small groups. And not so much asking about planning and organization, which is what you guys are doing, but it's there's been an ask about how are the projects going? What are the next? We don't have time for the next hour. Perhaps we can have another call, but just we got your plans, and this has been beautiful. I'm going to end the recording, and we can stay on and chat if people like. Is that okay with everybody?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to, yeah.